everybody. I know that I look nice and bright and light, and I know. There is a reason behind it, and that's because we're talking about the best of the best spring fragrances. And spring is one of my most favorite seasons because you can kind of really mix and match the fragrances. They can be nice, light and airy whilst having, I don't know, a sweetness or a floral aspect. Some of them can even go into gourmands as long as they're nice, light and airy. So let's just jump right into the video. So the first fragrance that I have is honestly created for the springtime. This is spring in the bottle, and I'll probably be saying that quite often, you guys, so please don't kill me. Granada by Memo Paris. This is a very beautiful fragrance. It has what seems like a little bit of a fruitiness at the top. I think there's some pomegranate, which gives it a little bit of a sourness. I don't know whether you guys have tried pomegranate juice, but that thing is bitter and sour all at the same time, and that's kind of what I get right at the top of this fragrance. Then there's a lot of orange blossom and a big dose of very soapy jasmine. This is not an indolic jasmine, this is very soapy, clean jasmine. I hardly detect anything else. And the way I would describe this fragrance, it smells like a very plush, very realistic white floral bouquet. So if you're not very fond of flowers, if you were to walk outside, if you were to grab them, smell them, you will not like this fragrance because it's super duper realistic. So that's one thing to consider. So that is Granada by Memo Paris. The next one that I have is from a very special house to me. It's from the house of Sisley, and this fragrance is incredibly elegant, very beautiful. It's very polarizing because if you're not into green fragrances, if you're not into sheep fragrances, this is not for you. But you know, for me, when I first smelt it, I was like, ooh, I'm not sure. I really wasn't sure about it until I started wearing it more and more and more. And I said to myself, I can't live without this fragrance. So this is one of the fragrances that if I was ever to do a I can't live without these fragrances video, this would probably be in there. This is Eau du Soir by Sisley, and just check out that bottle. Whoa, this is the limited edition bottle, and I wish the cap was real metal, but it's not. I think it's just coated plastic, but it still does the job, right? So this in of itself is a sheep, so it has a citrus opening. I believe there's some lemon or some bergamot, and then goes down into an oak moss kind of base. I don't think there's actual oak moss in here. I think there might be remnants of it, but overall it's just a very beautiful green mossy fragrance with a little bit of sourness just at the top with those citruses. Now, the way my friend described this fragrance, which is incredibly accurate, she said that it smells like a spa, and the way I would describe it, it smells like a forest that is in a spa. If that would ever exist, that's how this would smell like. It almost has a little bit of a mineral kind of quality to it, like a little bit of a saltiness. I don't know where that's coming from, but it's just gorgeous. So that is Eau du Soir by Sisley. The next fragrance that I have is from the house of Xerjoff, and I did a dedicated review to this fragrance, and I was introduced by my friend Giselle to this real beauty. This would do very well in spring, both day and night, and this would do very well in summer days. Noir. This thing is just incredible. This at the top, I just need to spray it again. Oh, I'm sorry, bottle. I'm just taking up all of your juice. This has melon and what feels like more like a mandarin orange opening, and then goes down into a very powdery mid with some iris, almost like an orrisy type iris, but not too powdery. I don't like too overly powdery kind of scents. And I do detect some lily and a little bit of carnation, even though I don't think it's listed in there, then settles down into vanilla and cedar. This is a beautiful fizzy with that fruity opening, sweet powdery iris fragrance. This is really, really made for springtime and also for summer days. So that is Noir by Xerjoff. The next fragrance that I have is probably one of my favorites from the house of MFK, and I know loads of you talk about Baccarat and Grand Soir and Oud Satin Mood, Oud Silk Mood, but for me this is just a really gorgeous fragrance, and it's called Amyris Femme. This is the extra version, and before I get into this beautiful fragrance, I was able to get it for an incredible price from C-Scent, or I'll put their website here, or Marcus from PDM. He has an Insta page, which I shall put here. He always runs loads of discounts, lots of offers in the UK. So if you're always on the lookout for new offers, he doesn't know I'm doing this. This fragrance is very, very beautiful. It has a huge dose of what I feel like is a mixture of orange and orange blossom. Has other florals in here. I almost detect like an iris thing going on, and then has amyris, which I believe is a type of resin. So overall, the way I describe this is sharp, citrus and sweet at the top, goes down to a floral, resinous, still quite soapy, clean fragrance. This is really stunning for the spring because it's both fresh and also quite inviting and sweet at the same time, and a little bit different with that amyris note. You don't really find that a lot in, you know, in fragrances nowadays. So if you've not tried this one, please do yourself a favor and try it. That's Amyris Femme, very womanly and elegant, by the way, by MFK. Right, so the next fragrance that I have, I've lost the lid to God knows where it's rolled to, or where it's hidden, but gosh guys, this fragrance is one of my favorite designer fragrances. Jour de Hermes. You can already see how much I've used of this. I love it that much. This is a very gorgeous, very realistic lemon and white floral fragrance. Wow, this is just a very fizzy, realistic lemon. It's very beautiful, very sweet and very elegant, and then has a really big dose of white florals, but not super heady, more so in the soapy, cleany direction, which I don't mind. This is very bright. It's mostly a citrus fragrance for me, and in the spring and summer, this does amazingly well. I've already had quite a few compliments of this from this one. I don't know why. People just seem to love if you smell just clean, beautiful, fresh, elegant, and this is exactly it. I really love the house of Hermes, and or Hermes, is that how you pronounce it? Hermes. This is a real beauty. So that is Jour de Hermes. So the next one that I have is probably one of my favorites from the house of Serge Lutens. This really reminds me of some reason of a French Riviera in the springtime. This is a very beautiful tuberose scent, but not in a overwhelming tuberose scent, if you know what I mean. Sometimes tuberose can be quite overwhelming, so that's something to consider. This is a very sweet fragrance. This is Datura Noir. This has a lot of fruitiness, almost like an apricot type vibe alongside the tuberose, and then has a very coconutty type of feeling. So that's why I said that it really reminds me of the French Riviera. I don't know why, it just, when I picture this fragrance, I picture it like a really beautiful lady, maybe wearing a very simple navy striped shirt, maybe, I don't know, paddling in the French Riviera. That's what I imagine with this. This is a very beautiful, fruity, floral, but also a little bit musky fragrance. It does kind of lean on the vintage vibe without it being old-fashioned, if you know what I mean. This is very gorgeous. So that is Tour Noir from Serge Lutens. Alright guys, so the next fragrance that I have is of course another one from MFK. This is Feminin Pluriel. Now I did have to include this fragrance. I know that I've talked about it a few times on my channel, but this was made for the spring. We cannot deny this. This opens with a little bit of a citrus opening, but it's mostly a really beautiful, very perfectly made floral sheep fragrance. Fragrance. This has a lot of iris, rose, a little bit of violet, I believe, a little bit of white florals in here as well. But what makes this fragrance extremely special to me is that it does have a very lovely note of vetiver. And me personally, I do like a bit of vetiver in my fragrances. I feel like it gives it another dimension. So even though this is quite sweet, girly, feminine, that vetiver note just cuts through the florals and makes it slightly different. But it can polarize some people. But overall, this is a very beautiful fragrance. Sweet, soft, delicate, and just incredible. Feminin Pluriel. Alright, so last but certainly not least, as always, is a fragrance that I've had decants of a number of different times, and I finally bit the bullet and got it just because I love the fragrance so much. My boyfriend adores this fragrance. He's very much into citrusy, fresh fragrances. Bal D'afrique by Byredo. I love the house of Byredo. I think they have some really amazing fragrances. I've not smelled all of them, but I've smelled a few of them, and so far I really love them. I find them to be quite natural smelling, simple but very beautiful, and sometimes it's nice to have something a little bit more on the simple side. I find Jo Malone to kind of have the same type of feeling, and yeah, I think they're incredible. This is a very popular fragrance, and for very good reason. So it's very citrusy at the top. Mostly I find like a very fizzy, I don't know why there's a hair there, fizzy bergamot type smell. Then goes into marigold, and if you guys don't know what marigold smells like, it's a very how do I describe it? It's a very bushy yellow floral, and it's quite honey-like in the way that it smells. It's very potent, so that's something to keep in mind, but it's very honey-like and it's quite sweet yellow floral fragrance, a little bit green as well. You do find a lot of marigold here. You can find it everywhere, to be fair. So if you can ever smell marigold, smell it, you guys. You won't regret it. And apparently this has a bit of vetiver in the base as well. But personally speaking, I don't really get a lot of vetiver. For me, it's definitely more so on the citrusy, floral side with that yellow marigold floral, and then has a bit of an ozonicness to me. At least that's what I get. So it's very beautiful, perfect for the spring, especially if you just want to smell clean, fresh, and inviting. This is very rarely going to polarize anybody because it's just a very simple, beautiful, natural smelling scent. So that is Bal D'afrique by Byredo. So my loves, that was it for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I certainly, as always, enjoyed myself. And yeah, please like, subscribe, all of that jazz, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye guys.